Is masturbation harmful to a man over 70? The simple answer is no, but that is the wrong question to ask. The real question, the one that terrifies most men when they finally realize the answer, is this: what happens to your body if you stop? I see it in my clinic every day. Men who think they are too old for this, so they let that part of their life fade away. But then, years later, they meet a new partner, or they want that connection back, and they realize it's gone. Not just the desire, but the physical capability. I'm Dr. Phillip Werthman, and today on Corporal Health, I'm going to explain the harsh biological reality of the use it or lose it rule, and why keeping this habit might be the most important thing you do for your vitality.
The reality check. Let's look at the data, because there is still so much silence and shame around this topic. Naturally, everything declines with age. That is biology. In a major U.S. study, while nearly 70% of men in their 20s masturbate monthly, that number drops to about 27% for men over 70. But here's what's fascinating. In a recent Norwegian study, men over 70 were actually the most active group in terms of frequency among those who still did it. Why? Because they understand something the others don't. They aren't just doing it for fun. Many are doing it to reduce anxiety, to relieve distress, and to maintain a connection with their own bodies. But for the men who stop completely, the consequences can be permanent.
I need you to listen closely to this part. I often see patients in advanced age groups, 75, 80 years old, who suddenly find love again. They're very excited, but they haven't been sexually active for years. They just assume that the machinery will wake up.
But when they try, it doesn't work. Well, because of penile architecture. If you are not active either through partnered sex or masturbation, the tissues in your penis undergo physical changes. They become less elastic. The smooth muscle fibers atrophy. These are changes that, in many cases, cannot be reversed. This is why I say, use it or lose it. Sexual function is likely to decline with age. That is unavoidable. But if you abandon it completely, you are accelerating that loss. Masturbation acts as physical therapy for your reproductive system. It keeps the blood flowing and the tissues oxygenated. The ED myth and freedom. Now, I know what many of you are thinking. Doctor, I have erectile dysfunction. It's frustrating, so why bother? Here is the liberating truth that science shows us. You do not need an erection to have an orgasm. About 70% of men over 70 struggle with erections. That is normal, but the data shows that men in their 80s are actually less bothered by this than men in their 60s. Why? Because they realize that pleasure doesn't require perfection. Orgasmic function is a standalone feature. You can still experience the release, the stress relief, and the dopamine boost without a rigid erection. Don't let the lack of an erection stop you from maintaining your health.
Finally, let's address the fear. Is it safe for your heart? Generally, the risk of a cardiac event during masturbation is extremely low. However, I am a doctor on YouTube, not your doctor. If you have a history of heart issues, get checked. But for the vast majority of you, the message is clear. You are not too old. You are not dirty. You are simply maintaining a biological function. Don't let shame rob you of your health. Keep the engine running, even if it runs a little slower than it used to. If this video opened your eyes, subscribe to Corporal Health. We talk about the things other doctors are too afraid to mention. I'm Dr. Phillip Werthman, and I'll see you in the next video.